Blade 2. It's a follow-up to Blade. This movie was released back in 2002. What are my thoughts on this movie? I like this movie. I love Blade 2. For years, this was my favorite in the series. As far as the story goes, you have Blade picking up where he left off in the first film. He's out on the hunt to find Whistler. Apparently, Whistler was turned into a vampire and someone is holding him hostage. So he frees Whistler. He gives Whistler some type of serum that makes him human again, or just like you know lessens the effects of being a vampire, or something like that. Then you have a group of vampires come together, known as the Blood Pack. They infiltrate Blade's hideout. You have a fight scene between Blade and a couple of members of the Blood Pack, but then they offer Blade a truce. They want Blade to help them fight a new breed of vampires called the Reaper Vampires. So the villain in this movie is Jared Nomak. He's a Reaper vampire. He's like a super race of a vampire, a super vampire race. And he is different than the other vampires because when he bites humans, they also turn into a vampire. But you can also bite vampires, and they will also turn into a Reaper vampire as well. And so if he bites all the vampires and turn them into Reaper vampires, there'll be nothing left to prevent the humans from being bitten as well. So the Blood Pack, they feel threatened, and they hire Blade to team up with him to stop him. So Blade and the Blood Pack, they have to battle their way through a whole bunch of Reaper vampires to get to Nomak. And eventually, the Blood Pack, they turn on Blade. Two members of the Blood Pack turn on Blade, Reinhardt and Scud. And so they kidnap Blade and Whistler. And they're sent to some type of facility, the Blood Pack's headquarters. And then they meet an older vampire. His name is Eli. And we get a big reveal that Jared Nomak is Eli's son. And we also get another reveal that Jared Nomak, his vampire virus, it was not evolved, it was designed. Eli had designed the virus the whole time. So that's the reveal. But anyway, Blade is able to outsmart the Blood Pack. Eli is killed by Jared Nomak, and we get the ending fight scene between Blade and Nomak. Blade outsmarts Nomak, kills him by stabbing a stake through his heart. So that's pretty much the story. That's my thoughts for Blade 2 goes. The movie's darker. There's a lot more action. And I like the villains better than this movie. I feel like that Nomak was a better villain than Frost. The villain, Nomak and the other Reaper vampires, like, they were no joke in this movie. They looked creepy, they looked scary, they were a threat. They could bite a vampire, and that vampire would turn into a Reaper vampire, and there would be no way of stopping that person. There's millions of these things roaming around the city. It gets pretty scary. So I like the villain here. He was pretty cool. He was also violent too. And as far as my issues with this movie, one, they brought back Whistler from the dead. I didn't really like that. Didn't really have an effect on the film, but he was killed so brutally in the first film that bringing him back in this one kind of just lessened the effects of the first film. Like, Whistler's death pretty much gave Blade the motivation to be Blade. But so they just brought it back in this movie like nothing happened. It's Whistler Blade, old times. Whatever. My other issue was the Blood Pack. I wasn't really a big fan of the Blood Pack. There were only two members of the Blood Pack that I actually liked. There was Scud and there was Reinhold. Or Reinhardt. And I liked Blade's interaction with Reinhardt. They were pretty cool and intense. They even had a big fight with one another when Reinhardt turned on Blade. But besides that, the other Blood Pack members, they didn't really add anything to the film. I feel like they just took the focus off of Blade. But, my issue was kind of solved later on. Because, majority of Blood Pack members, they all got killed. I think there's 7 members, and they all got killed. 5 or 6 of them were killed by the Reaper vampires. And I didn't mind that, because it shows that the Reaper vampires are a threat. They're able to wipe out a vampire. That makes them, superior. It makes the vampires vulnerable. And if the vampires are vulnerable to the Reapers, how would a human being have a chance to stand up against them? So, I didn't really mind that. So my issue kind of went away. But as far as this movie goes, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. The movie is fun, it's darker, more violent, more action. I feel like the villains were treated a little bit better than Deacon Frost. Deacon Frost in the first movie reminded me of a bratty vampire you were watching a teenage, vampire drama series or film like Twilight or My Vampire Diaries or something like that. Nomak feels like an actual Blade villain. A villain that can actually provide a challenge to Blade. So I gotta give this movie a 10 out of 10. For years, it's my favorite. But after going back and rewatching the first Blade film last night, as far as which one's better, Blade or Blade 2, I think it's close. I feel like Blade had more of the focus on him in the first one, unlike Blade 2. But also, Blade 2 had more of a challenging villain than the first film. So both films are both good. They're both great. Which one's better? I think it's close. The edge might have to go to Blade 2 here, but I like Blade 2. I thought it was a good follow-up to Blade 1. Wish I had a little bit more focus on Blade here. I believe the critics, they did criticize this film for lack of character development. I mean, I can kind of see their point, but Blade 2, I didn't really have any major issues that really affected the film for me. So, 10 out of 10. I guess we'll see what the third Blade film does sometime tomorrow.